And then when you are ready, I will start with the first question. If I need to switch back into I'll let you know. Please pause it.
You got my phone number, right?
You got my car keys. Where you going?
I'm going right down the road.
Okay, I'll call you when we're ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Where do you want me to look?
I want you to look at the camera.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I may sit on the other side, but I look at the camera when you answer.
Okay.
Okay. Miss Mildred,
Such as this. Gotta get her in focus. Okay.
Would you repeat after me? You got the water. Would you like the water?
Would you like the one next to you?
Okay. I, Mildred E. McGhee,
I, Mildred E. McGhee,
give permission
give permission
to use my interview
to use my interview
and the contents of it,
and the contents of it,
including all intellectual property,
including all intellectual properties,
for the purpose of an oral history interview.
for the purpose of an oral history interview.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions for you. They're gonna, and as much as you can remember is fine. There's something that you can't remember, then that's fine too.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about your K-12 educational experience. What you remember, just.
I didn't go K through 4 here.
Okay.
I attended K through 4 in another county because my parent worked in another county.
Okay.
Don't have much memory of K through 4, except I didn't want to go to the first grade teacher's room. I wanted to stay in my mother's room. And we came to Walthall County Training School when I was 4th grade. It was enjoyable. The teachers were nice, and all of them worked hard. We had some teachers that kind of goofed off, as you usually have teachers do, but they all tried to give us the type of education they thought we needed to succeed in life. We had activities. We had a prom. We had basketball. We had a fair, which was a parade and competitions between the schools. So it was a very enjoyable experience.
So you said you started here in the 5th grade and you went on ahead and graduated from here?
4th grade and graduated from here,
Okay.
4th through 12.
Tell me about your first recollection of attending this school. The first time you can recall something that you remember that was influential, possibly.
I remember I walked to school.
Okay.
With my parent. And my 4th grade teacher was a Miss Jordan who lived right down the street. And she was a nice person. We were self-contained. And
self-contained. Explain self-contained.
Self-contained is all the children of 1 grade in 1 room.
Okay.
You didn't go one place for math and one place for science. That one teacher taught all subjects. So we were self-contained K through 8th grade. And then we started branching off in the subject areas.
What years do you remember the years you attended here exactly?
I'm going to say 54. No, it was before that. I don't know, I was 4th grade.
Okay, but you graduated in what year?
In 59.
So you graduated in 59, so I would count maybe 8 years back or something like that to get that.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And you just said that you walked in with your mom and dad.
Yes.
What was their role here?
They were teachers.
What grades did they teach?
My dad taught shop, vocational education. My mother taught elementary, and which was, I remember her teaching 6th grade, and that was self-contained.
How were you prepared by your parents when it was time for you to go to school? What did they do to prepare you for your first time introduction into education?
You're talking about K-12?
Yeah, like did they sit down before you went and talk to you about the importance of it? How did they?
The only thing I remember is as long or as far back as I can remember, when someone would ask me, what do you want to be? I would say teacher. And I'm sure that came from them, even though I probably didn't know what a teacher was, but I had been programmed that I wanted to be a teacher. And at that time, that was one of the most prestigious jobs for blacks. There were not a lot of options for blacks at that time. Now you could become a counselor, but an engineer, doctors, lawyers, that was rare. Mm-hmm. And especially in the South.
Do you think that teaching gave an entrance into the middle class for black people?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And what happened when integration came about? What happened to those black teachers? Did they follow students into integrated school systems, or were they almost put out of the profession because of integration?
When integration came, I was out of high school and entering college. So the first years of integration in Walthall County, I didn't experience because I was in college. I was the last class to graduate from here, and then they closed it down as a school K-12. But the teachers went to the integrated system, black and white, and eventually they kind of phased out, retired, and they probably didn't rehire some or replace some, but those black teachers that were here went to the integrated school,
Okay.
which is located in Tylertown.
We're gonna pause. You need to.
I think that if we can move you to this side.
Because you keep looking at me.
Right, it's unnatural.
Okay. Because you're looking at me. I have to the camera. But it's hard not to because I'm the one asking you questions. Okay. I'm gonna switch to this side.
You want a chair or nothing like that?
I don't know if there's a chair that I can
What's that?
sit in. I'm good. I'll be all right.
A chair to sit down.
No, I'm fine. It'll be fine. I'll lean up against you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm good. Did your parents have any hesitancy about your ability to be successful in school?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. They had some hesitancy concerning some subjects because I wasn't being exposed to as many subjects here as I would have been in an integrated situation.
So how did they substitute for what they thought you should be getting?
I had to hustle when I went to college.
Did your parents try to bridge those gaps for you?
Yes, in some math classes when I would do homework, and if I would come in and say I didn't have homework, my mother would assign me work to do, trying to bridge the gap. Mm-hmm. And they did that to try to improve my chances of success. Chemistry was a subject we didn't have. Chemistry was a subject I met as a freshman in college.
So you had never seen chemistry?
I didn't have a clue. So I really had to work hard to just get it through chemistry because it was something that I had not had. And even though I wasn't the only student in the class in that situation, I wasn't the majority of the students in the class in that situation.
So you felt that the other students in your first college class knew more about chemistry than you did?
Yes.
Because
the majority of them did, which allowed the teacher to go on with the lesson rather than
stay back to help.
Yes. So that made me have to work harder to learn those skills.
Who was your favorite teacher here?
My home economics teacher. Her name was Miss Alice Geraldine Hirsch. She was also a senior sponsor. She was also the girls' basketball coach. And her husband was the principal when I graduated. And she always treated us like people, you know. And we really, I think everybody loved her.
What about her teaching style? What did you like?
Hands-on. And she would always have you we did sewing one semester, and we did cooking the second semester. And she would allow you a chance to cook. If you sewed and messed something up, you would be able to take it or loose. And she was just a nice teacher, but she meant what she meant business.
What were her disciplinary strategies?
Tell mother, she's right over there in the classroom. Go there and tell your mother, she's right over there in the classroom.
Oh, but you gonna tell your mother what you did?
Yeah. Just tell you that she's going to tell your mother.
Okay. What kind of fear did that instill in students for the teacher to say, I'm going to tell your mother?
That's all it took. That's all it took. Parents were in control. And parent and teachers knew each other. So you didn't have a problem with misbehaving. We might have been mischievous, but you didn't do anything to really, really get in trouble. So that experience was great.
So you say that parents and the teachers, they work together on behalf of the child?
Yes, yes.
We're going to pause.
Just want her to go, because she's in the shadow. She can get in, like,
move
I'm
on.
trying to highlight her face as much as possible.
Yes, yeah, scoot on over to that first bench.
Because we already got enough in the background. We got a picture and everything. What else? You know what I mean? You want to put it with the sun there.
Yeah, the sun coming back out, though. So that's good. It had clouded over for a moment.
First one?
Yeah, and as much of the light as possible.
Yeah, so not a light in here, so the camera got you looking kind of dark on there. We want to lighten it up a bit. It's just the sun, because we were missing some sun. Try a little bit to this camera. Yeah, I like that. And as soon as the sun comes high, it's going to give it even more light.
Okay.
Space.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm, sure.
All right. What were the teacher expectations for student learning?
They expected you to study. They expected you to complete assignments, which you regularly got. And they expected you to participate in class, which wasn't a problem.
Did kids want to learn at that time? Were they interested?
The majority of them did.
Yeah.
You had a few who had learning problems, and maybe one or two. Remember now, my senior class, there were not 20 students. So your classes weren't large.
Okay.
So the teacher knew everybody and could very well control the classroom because the classes were not large.
So small class sizes.
Yeah, yeah.
Who provided lunch for students?
Oh, we had a lunch. At that time, we called it lunchroom.
Okay.
/ cafeteria. And we had a cook that would cook. And
Like
they had,
cook food every day?
yes. And
What
a
kind
staff.
of food did you guys eat?
Oh, it was delicious. Home cooking.
Home cooking.
Yes. And one of the greatest joys, which would probably get you put in jail now, is the cook was absent one day. And we were seniors. And we cooked lunch.
Really?
It was delicious. We just...
Well, you guys had taken home economics, right? So you could
Yeah.
make some eggs, right?
Yeah. We just didn't have enough. But it was delicious because we served the kids as much as they wanted. We knew nothing about proportions. You got other children coming. If they said they wanted some more, we did. So we ran out before we got through, but it was delicious.
Do you feel that the lunches were filling for you?
They were.
Everybody got enough?
Yes.
I just remember because my mother told me, my mother's from Yazoo.
Oh, okay.
And my mother told me that she used to love that the lady used to make peach cobbler sometimes.
Yes.
And my mother said that peach cobbler would be so good.
That's correct. We had great cooks, and we had a lunchroom, and they would cook lunch. I don't remember whether we had chairs or benches in the lunchroom. I just don't remember. Mm-hmm. But we would go there for lunch and eat. We didn't know we were poor.
Yeah, I didn't either. They were doing a good job. Somebody I know poor did. Good job, Mom. What about, talk to me about personal hygiene and what you wore to school and what people wore to school.
Regular clothes. There were no uniforms, and everybody came clean. Nobody had well, I can't say nobody. Most people did not have bathrooms, so to speak.
Yeah.
You had a number 3 tub and a foot tub, and you used that to keep clean, and that was not a problem.
Okay. Could you wear pants to school, girls?
No.
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 So did you have enough dresses for the whole week, or did you alternate what you had?
I think I alternated.
Okay, so you might end up wearing the same dress twice in a week.
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
I doubt it.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying I doubt it is not because I remember anything, but my mother sewed, and my mother was a great cook. She did everything I don't do. So she would make most of my clothes. She would make her suits. She would make her hats. She would make her bags. And so I doubt I had to wear the same clothes more than once during the week.
How did your mother dress for work?
Oh, exquisite. Exquisite.
She took pride in?
Very much.
And your dad? Well, he worked in the shop, so that was different.
He wasn't as hung up on dressing as my mother was. My mother was, everything had to match, and there's a place for everything, and everything has to be in its place. And I appreciate that about her, but I didn't.
Were you the only child?
No, I have a brother.
Okay.
Brother that's 1 year older.
Okay.
And he's in Muncie, Indiana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, from Gary. That's about 3 hours from where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
About it's where Ball State.
Yes.
Okay. Is he down there by Ball State?
I don't know. I don't think he's too far from Ball State.
Did your parents have to purchase school supplies for you?
Yes.
And where did they purchase them from?
I don't know. I remember one thing, and I thought about that on my way over here. We had a Sears Roebuck catalog. We got one every year. And we would sit there and do shopping. Go through looking, and Mother would buy a number of things from Sears. And when I was on my way over here, I think that was her way of appreciating the step that, what's his name from Sears?
Rosenwald.
Made to black education.
By shopping in the Sears Roebuck.
By shopping it. That's the only catalog I remember is a Sears Roebuck.
That is very interesting.
And we would get one every year, and she would buy things from Sears Roebuck. but I never knew anything about Rosenwald or anything of that nature.
So here at school, they never talked about Julius Rosenwald or Booker T. Washington?
I never knew this was a Rosenwald school. I didn't know this was a Rosenwald school until after I decided, okay, Mr. Dillon, you've asked me for the umpteenth time to come to the building, I'll come. And then after I came, I thanked him for keeping on after me, and I promised him that I would get involved. Then I found out it was a Rosenwald school. I didn't know. Never asked.
I'm going to ask you some questions about violence, racial violence.
Okay.
Are you comfortable answering questions about
Yeah.
that? Okay. Before I ask you about that, can you tell me a little bit about how school opened in the morning? How did school open in the morning? How did you start the day?
I'm trying to remember. I think we said the pledge each morning. I think I remember saying the pledge each morning, and then we would go on with class. Don't remember a prayer. After I started teaching, we would do a prayer until the ACLU and all those good folks.
Said no more.
Yeah, so then we stopped.
How do you think prayer impacted the education of your students in the mornings before you got started? Do you think it made impact? Do you think it was useful, or did you see a difference between when you prayed before and when they stopped you from praying? Was there a difference at all?
But I can't say it's because of praying and not praying.
Okay.
There's a difference. But I can't say the difference comes from prayer versus non-prayer. Children are different.
Did anybody, as a teacher, violate the new rule about prayer in school and do it anyway?
One while it was, before they completely banned it, one while we had a religion that didn't believe in prayer. You could have prayer before those students got to class or whatever. And then when they banned it completely, then they stopped. No, I don't know whether anybody just continued to do, the prayer or not. I don't think so.
So how was religion incorporated into schooling? Was it at all before then? Scripture verses or any type of thing involved in school?
Not in terms of the classroom. You would have assemblies, but you allowed children to participate if they wanted to. It wasn't you have them captivated here and you going to do this, that, or the other. So it wasn't the same as a classroom, and I'm in the classroom and you're doing devotion and I have no choice because I'm in here.
Mm-hmm.
It those who wanted to participate in assemblies were able to. Those who didn't have to.
What about the Negro National Anthem?
No, we didn't emphasize that. Not nearly enough.
Why?
We didn't know it and we just didn't. That's a question I ask, why we don't or why we didn't. But we should have, and we just didn't. So later we started recognizing and knowing and learning and becoming aware of. That's why it's so important that this building stands, and not only stand, people need to bring young kids or young children to see and learn, because we don't know our history. And I understand that we don't know our history because our history is so painful. And when we pass by that stage, we are so happy to be past it. We want to destroy everything related to that history because we don't appreciate it. And it's going to take young people to change that. Hopefully, we can change it.
Did you learn any Black history as a student? Anything about Black history?
Yeah.
What
George Washington Carver.
George Washington Carver?
George Washington Carver.
That was it?
That's it.
Did you know that George Washington Carver drew up the plans with Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington for the Rosenwald schools?
Not till I started studying.
But as a student here, you did learn about Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
Do you think it was more because he was an agricultural person, like with the peanut and all other kind of inventions, or how were you taught about him?
With the peanut?
About the peanuts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember any racial violence in the community as a young person going to the Rosenwald schools? Either against any of your friends here or their parents? Do you remember any murmuring about any type of racial violence?
I heard some, but not familiar with it. I just heard of it. At the time when I grew up, you didn't have family talk. You had parent talking and children, you all go play. So whatever happened, you didn't hear it because you were not a part of the conversation. But you would hear some things, but what, I never did know. So
your parents then never talked to you about how you should behave?
Mm-mm. Because 9 times out of 10, wherever I was, there they were also.
So you think you felt shielded and protected?
Yes.
Even in the community, did you also feel shielded and protected in the community? Because there were neighbors, or people always looking out?
Yes.
Were there any mandated or district tests that you had to take?
No. When I became a senior, we took the ACT test.
The ACT test?
And I don't think that was demanded. You had a preference to take it. And we took the test because we were trying to get scholarships for college. So we took that.
Did you get a scholarship?
No.
Your parents paid?
Yeah.
Your parents paid for you to go to Walthall through teaching?
Plus I worked.
Oh, really?
Guess what work I did?
What'd you do?
I was a maid in the dormitory.
You were a maid in the dormitory?
Yes.
The dormitory you stayed in?
Yes.
Okay.
But now that was during the summer. I would work during the summer. And they called, then after a while, I got a job in the library as a library assistant. And I worked there until I graduated. Matter of fact, the librarian tried to get me to change my major to library science.
Not a lot of people going into library science.
Mother said, you have a degree, go to work.
I know that's right. So. Tell me about the decorations on the wall that you remember being in here. Because we're going to do a little walking tour when we finish the interview, just so you can kind of tell us what you remember about the different spaces.
Don't remember a lot. Don't remember a lot about the walls. This area, when we would have assemblies, this would be the area. When we would have prom, they would decorate this area, and we had prom. But so far as teachers would put things on the wall, but I just don't remember, a whole lot of what they would have on the wall. They'd do posters and put different work on the walls.
Do you guys, you were right in the middle of sort of like the beginning of the civil rights movement at that time. So my question is, did teachers talk to you about activism or about
No.
what you could do to support the black community or black? What did they talk about? Nothing at all?
No. Not when it started, but I finished college in '63, and that was kind of a turmoil period, and I started teaching then. And there were some boycotts and some sit-ins, and you could decide whether you wanted to boycott the store or by not going in and things like that. But nobody talked about activism.
Did your parents, were your parents clear to you about how they wanted you to respond to it? Did they want you to be a part of it?
They didn't.
They never said?
Either way.
Did you do any activist work?
I went to some meetings, but other than that, I didn't. When I became 18, my dad and mother carried me to register to vote. I had to take a test, which was interpreting the Constitution, and I had to pay poll tax. I passed the test. I don't believe I passed the test. I believe they were going to let me register to vote anyway because of my parent. And that's how I registered to vote, me and my brother, because I knew nothing about the Constitution.
You had never been taught the Constitution?
I mean, I didn't know enough to just answer. Now, I did something on the paper, but I honestly don't believe that I passed. But I believe they were going to register me because of my parent. So.
What was it about your parents? The fact they were professionals, or?
They were professionals, and my daddy and mother had registered
before
to vote, and they were voting. So now that's just my belief. It may not be true.
Well, it's interesting that you didn't learn about the Constitution, but they instilled that test to try to, I don't know if that's a weed out thing.
I learned about the Constitution, but see, when people ask you questions about certain parts of it, and to sit down and relate a question to that particular answer, I just don't believe. I wrote some stuff, but I just don't believe. I believe I was going to
get it regardless.
Yes.
All right, she's going to keep going a little bit about you and higher education and your career path as an instructor and educator.
But before I begin, do you want some water?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Because I know my love get dry when I'm talking for a minute.
You're doing a great job too, thank you.
I am.
Okay, so I'm going to start, before I get to your career as an educator, I'm curious to find out more of what it was like to be a black girl student. Like, what were the different expectations for you as a girl versus the boys? Because as you said that they had a girls' dormitory and they had a boys' dormitory. You weren't allowed to wear pants. So can you talk more about the differences?
Now, the girls and boys' dormitory was before my time. I understand that it was kind of servicemen that stayed in the boys' dormitory, people who traveled from Pike County. You didn't have cars, so they came and stayed for high school. Girls probably the same, but when I went to school here, there were no girls or boys' dormitory.
Okay.
Nobody staying on campus.
Okay.
When I went to school here, girls wore dresses and boys wore pants. Wasn't no question, and no problem. I don't remember any problems. I really don't remember. Most classes were majority girls, but so far as a problem, no.
Right. So what were some of the expectations about being a black girl and getting education that you think may have been different, being that you said the majority of classes were girls?
If there were any, I didn't recognize them. I was expected to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I probably was expected to do better than I did because I enjoyed playing. But, you know, I did well, but I probably could have done better.
Yeah.
And parental expectation might have been my greatest leveler because my parent expected and would not accept. So I didn't have the expectations of the environment.
Can you explain that further? Like, what were the expectations of the environment? Like, what do you mean when you say that?
Okay, like you're talking about the expectations for girls need to do this and boys need to do that. I didn't have that. Mother had, and daddy had. You are my daughter, and this is what you're going to do. And you're going to get your lesson, and when your grades come in, I'm going to look at them, and you can do better than this.
Right.
That's where my expectation came.
So were there any different expectations between you and your brother?
Not in terms of education.
What were
in terms of socializing, yes.
Can you explain those expectations?
Yes. In one sentence, I went nowhere, he went everywhere. Meaning, I didn't have the freedom to go to the parties, to the this or to the that, because my parent didn't go. My brother would, on Saturday night or Friday night, he could leave and go to the party or to wherever, and didn't have supervision.
Can you tell us why you think there was a different
He's
supervision?
He's a boy.
So was it like that for the other girls and
I
boys?
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Was your mother's fear that you would get prematurely pregnant, or
Never.
She never said nothing.
You're not going.
That's it.
Didn't explain why. Not going.
They having a dance in town, and all my friends gonna be there. No, you're not going. And didn't go.
So you want a rebellious child?
Because if you went, they were going to have to take you. And they weren't about to carry you to the dance. Now, if it's a dance that they are supervising, that's here, and they are one of the supervisors, sure, you're going, whether you want to or not.
I want to piggyback on Sherella and ask you same question I asked Miss Shirley yesterday. Could you have taken your father's shop class if you wanted to?
No.
Was your father ever willing to teach you what he was teaching in his shop class apart from the class?
Yes.
So at home, your father taught you what?
At home, anything that I wanted to do, he would allow me to do so. I could get his tools out of his truck, and he'd tell me, when you get through with my tools, put them back where you got them. I said, yes, sir. And mother wouldn't buy these tools. So I could do with his tools what I guess he would fuss at her if she moved them and didn't put them back. So he would teach me whatever I wanted to learn.
But he knew he couldn't do it up here.
Well, he didn't. I don't know whether because it was just obvious. Nobody wanted to take shop, and nobody asked to take shop. Girls home economics, boys shop.
Now what if a boy wanted to have taken home economics?
Probably the same thing.
Tell him no.
Nobody never asked.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was just obvious. Nobody never asked.
Now, Miss Shirley yesterday identified as a tomboy. She was able to play with the boys, climb trees, and no one kind of shoved her to be quote unquote girly. How would you identify yourself as a child? Would you identify as a tomboy?
Yeah.
So what were some of the different expectations about you, or how did people view you since you identify as a tomboy? Like, did your teacher treat you any differently?
No.
Did students, girls treat you any differently?
No. the reason I guess I did is when we would play, there would be pine trees, small pine trees. And we would get on those pine trees and ride them up and down. You know, let your feet touch the ground and then up and down, and that would be our ride. We would take car tires that came off a tire and we would roll them up and down the road with our hands. We would play baseball. So in that way, we just played.
Now, did you ever wear pants, or when you was out playing, did you ever have on
Shorts.
shorts?
Shorts. And they weren't shorts. They, you know.
How far they come down to about your knee?
Yeah.
The Bermuda shorts.
Yeah.
Did you play basketball with Miss Shirley?
No.
No.
Couldn't play.
You just didn't know it. You wasn't good at it.
Wasn't good at it.
What sports did you play?
But I could go on the trips because my mother trusted the coach, who was our sponsor and the teacher. So I could go on. I could go as the mascot. I would keep up with, you know, the coats and the water and all of that. So I was just as happy.
Okay, so can you tell me why you decided to become a teacher?
That's all I knew.
That's all you knew.
That's all I knew.
So what other professions were around here besides teachers? Were there store shop owners?
Yes, Shirley's daddy owned the store. There was another teacher closer to the school that owned the store. Those were the only two stores right around in this area. So yes, there were store owners in the area.
Can you also tell me about your experience as a black woman educator? And what was that like to be a black woman educator in the 70s and the 80s?
Fine. I didn't have any problem that I can remember.
Right. So what were some of the benefits? You mentioned problems. What were some of the benefits of being a black woman educator during that time period?
Well, you made your own money. You can make your own decisions. You were independent. The major, benefits of making your own money and being a black educator. You had the opportunity to work with children, which is the greatest reward you can have. And it was just great.
Why do you think the black community has gotten away from going into the teaching profession?
Money. The money is not there. The discipline of children is not there. So to make money, you have to go in one of the technology areas, and those who go into teaching, if you're not careful, the discipline will run them away. So I say money and discipline. Why I think one reason the discipline is a problem, we have a number of teachers in our schools now who don't live in the community and go to church with the children and go to church with the parents. And they don't know them, so they don't trust them. And so that's your discipline problems. And when something happens here, they come angry because they don't know you.
So there was something special about living in the same community with the teachers who taught you?
I think so. And something special about me living in the community of the children I taught.
So you lived in a community with the kids you taught?
Yes.
And did most of the teachers that taught with you live in that community?
At that time, yes.
And that was a different type of
dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you explain what that special aspect is, or that dynamics that's different that you're mentioning? Like, what can you put to words to define what special meant? to be a black woman educator in the same community as these black kids that you're teaching and going to church with and seeing in stores?
It makes teaching easier. And the main thing you want parents to know is, regardless of what you do, you're doing it in the best interest of their children. And that honestly should be your motivation, even though it's not everybody's motivation, but it should be. If you see that parent at church, you see the parent in the grocery store, if there's a problem, the parent will address it with you. You shouldn't make the problem worse. You should try to address the problem and solve the problem. And hey, we can be wrong sometimes. We have to understand that we can be wrong sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with apologizing when you're wrong. So,
I want to ask, I just had this question. When do you think the trust broke down between teacher and parent? Where did that, because you're talking about this community at Walthall County, how there was a trust between the parents and they worked together. Where did that?
well, see, I wasn't here then, because when I left, the school left.
So as a teacher,
I didn't teach it. Oh, well,
no,
you mean
just
wherever?
As a teacher generally, yeah. When did? Because how long were you a teacher?
I was in education 44 years. I probably taught about 10.
What else did you do besides teach?
I taught. I was a elementary principal, high school principal, drug ed counselor, superintendent. Last job I had.
In the state of Mississippi?
In Wilkerson County, one county.
Warren County.
One county.
One county.
44 years in one county as an educator.
One county.
Wow.
Do you remember when you first recognized that there was a shift between parent and teacher?
Not really. Not really. That one I don't want to talk about.
Okay. Fine. That's fine. We can move on now. Go ahead.
All right. Can you tell us about your experiences in college as a black woman? You said that you received your bachelor's and your master's. Can you tell us about anything that you remember about being a black woman in college?
Are you Greek?
Zeta.
Oh, I'm a Delta.
Really?
I will hold it.
Well, 5 students from my class went to college.
Out of 20?
Mm-hmm. 1 went to Jackson State. The rest of them went to Alcorn. So we were the little Walthall County group. We went to classes together. We studied together. And so school was pleasant. Didn't have any problems, in college. We just got along with everybody.
So Miss Jen Doris,
Yes.
did she go to Alcorn with you?
No, she went to Jackson State.
She was the one that went to Jackson.
She was the one that went to Jackson.
Okay. Okay.
Well, see, her father went to Jackson State.
Okay.
And he was an educator also. So she went to Jackson State, but we were classmates.
We spoke with her this morning.
Oh, you did?
She wasn't able to make it.
Oh, yeah. They just had homecoming, so you know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the 5 students who went to college, were they all women or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said that when you went to college, y'all stuck together?
Yes.
So how would you define that? Would you just define that as a sister circle? Would you define that as a little mini community? How would you define that group of black women who stuck together in college?
I think we had the same educational experiences and deficiencies, and maybe after classes we wouldn't have contact, But during classes, we went to class together, and if we needed to study, we would study together because we knew each other. And we had one teacher that we knew that had taught us in high school that was teaching at Alcorn. And so that basically was just a friendship.
Mm-hmm. Friendship, study group.
Yes.
A support group, would you
Yes.
say?
Yes.
How did you guys support each other emotionally?
We didn't do a lot of emotional support.
What would you define as emotional support?
If somebody had a problem, you know, we'd help them deal with the problem. If something went wrong with someone and they come to the group, we didn't have a lot of that I know of.
Mm-hmm. Now you said you joined Zeta.
Yes.
So why did you join Zeta and not Delta? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My brother was a Sigma.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the best answer I can give.
Yeah. So did Zeta offer you a sense of that black sisterhood that you potentially didn't get with those students from Walthall County Training School? Like, did you get emotional support from your sorors?
Yes. Don't have a lot of comment about it. I'm not a Zeta. I'm not a active Zeta now.
Right, but I'm talking about back then. If you can reflect on back then, like what type of emotional support were you given? What type of activities did y'all do together?
I've always been independent. And I don't need the sisterhood to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the sisterhood can be used the wrong way sometimes for the wrong purposes. And that is, if you're my sister and I have this opportunity because you are my sister, you get the opportunity. I never appreciated that. And so I never have been active because, you know, you make your own way in life. And you should not need nobody making curves for you. So I just never been that active. Good organization for those who love it, but...
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that because I never joined a sorority in undergrad or master's. I never had like a group of black women in my undergrad who I can say like I can get the emotional support. If I need to get a good word in, I can get a good word in. I never had that, but I can say now in my doctoral program, I can say I have that, right? And it's not necessarily that, I don't know if I can say that the word I need it, but I definitely do appreciate it, right?
But now, did you get it because of joining something? But did you get it because you built a relationship with people who are in the same category you're in?
I would say I got it not because I joined something, because I made something because of the relationships that we had.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in a sorority now.
That's different. That's different. But when you, I hate talking. You are feminine, are you?
Am I what?
Feminine, are you?
Yeah. Would you like us to pause?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Is it the pause?
I don't know how to pause. I don't want to stop it and start it over again.
That's fine. Just go ahead.